let's go ahead to this next one on Ginni Thomas. Now, this was certainly a bit of a story, so let's go ahead and put this up there on the screen. For those of the uninitiated, Ginni Thomas is the wife of Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas. Now, per these text messages, which just came out from the Washington Post, reported by Bob Woodward and by Robert Costa, Ginni Thomas urged the White House chief to pursue unrelenting efforts to overturn the 2020 election in these text messages. These text messages, 29 in all, show a pipeline between Ginni Thomas. On November 10th, after news organizations predicted Joe Biden the winner, Thomas wrote to Meadows, quote, "Help this great president stand firm," Mark, with very questionable pronunciation, questionable punctuation and capitalization.
Yeah, I've never seen the 3 exclamation points followed by 3 periods.
Yeah.
Never seen that
This
one.
is pure boomerism in terms of that. "You are the leader with him who is standing for America's constitutional governance at the precipice. The majority knows Biden and the left is attempting the greatest heist of our history." Meadows wrote to Thomas. The White House chief of staff invoked God to describe the effort to overturn the election. "This is the fight of good versus evil," Meadows wrote. "Evil always looks like the victor until the King of Kings triumphs. Do not grow weary in the well-doing. The fight continues. I have staked my career on it." Thomas replies, "Thank you. Needed that. This plus a conversation with my best friend just now. I will try to keep holding on. America is worth it." Now, the messages do not directly reference Justice Thomas, to be very clear, but it does show that she used her access to Trump's inner circle, basically, in order to pressure them to do the most bonkers stuff in terms of stop the steal. And I think what this shows you is the very peculiar institution of the Supreme Court. You vote for these people, they're up there for life. In terms of ethics and all this, they don't have the same in terms of you or I, or even in terms of members of Congress or members of the executive branch.
Aren't subject to any code of ethics. Even other members of the judiciary are.
Yes.
Members of Congress even are subjected to some level of code of ethics. But we just have like an honor system with these people.
Yeah, and let's put this next one up there. It just shows you the actual text message, the direct quote of this. And that's the only way that I can really choose to. Full disclosure, by the way, I've met Ginni Thomas a couple of times. And from what I understood always about her within the kind of conservative movement, and this is just my experience in terms of what I've heard, is she's always been, let's just say, an odd bird. She's somebody who was very, very into the Tea Party movement and the rallies. This is somebody, she actually caused a lot of consternation at the time because of these same ethics questions. They're like, is it really appropriate for the wife as Supreme Court Justice to be so politically involved in these movements? Now, obviously that doesn't seem to apply in the media to members of the left, but whatever. Now, in terms of this with Ginni Thomas, I don't think there's any way of describing this as outrageous behavior, because what she has done is leverage her position as a private citizen and the wife of the Supreme Court Justice to really become a conservative activist in her own right, trading off of her husband's name in Washington, D.C. This is somebody who, been writing columns for a long time and used her position in order to score meetings with Trump. Some of the craziest meetings with Trump, Krystal, happened because of Ginni Thomas. I remember covering this at the time. It was like 2018. She would barrel her way in there, demand the use of a conference room, demand and set up meetings with Trump in order to push conservative activists who she said were true and full MAGA in order to try and put them in the administration.
She reportedly handed him a list of who she thought were like deep state conspirators or whatever. Like, she's a crank, but I think she's a true believer.
She is a true believer.
For sure.
I think you can at least say she does believe
genuine.
what she's saying.
I gotta read a few more of these text messages because there were 29 in all. And I think they just show she went all the way in. I mean, she was referencing some of these conspiracies that Trump had mail-in ballots watermarked so that they could track the fraud and that it was all going to come undone. She was, we forgot about that one, right? Ooh. Yeah, memories. She was saying it's time to release the Kraken. And after a while, you can see Meadows, who's basically just he's like a hack and just likes being in a position of power is how I read him.
He's got to play all these people, right?
He's trying to sort of placate her. And even him, she's trying to push, you got to put Sidney Powell out front. And I don't understand why she's taking a step back. Because remember, there was that moment where she really went off the deep end and she gets kind of like pulled out from being the public face of Stop the Steal. And he even says to her, like, Sidney Powell doesn't have anything. Unless she's keeping it from us, she doesn't actually have anything. And Ginni Thomas just responds, wow.
Yeah.
Here's another one of her texts. This was on November 5th. She says, Biden crime family and ballot fraud co-conspirators are being arrested and detained for ballot fraud right now and over coming days, and will be living in barges off Gitmo to face military tribunals for sedition.
Got it.
So that's part of what she said. So anyway, the point is, she's all the way in. She said, we were living through what feels like the end of America. Most of us are disgusted with the vice president and are in listening mode to see where to fight with our teams. Those who attack the Capitol are not representative of our great teams of patriots for DJT. So in any case, there's a lot to say about this. I think you framed it well, because the only reason Mark Meadows is responding to this lady's text is because of who her husband is.
Yeah, that's right.
And it's not just in this instance where she trades off her husband's name and power to herself achieve proximity and be able to lobby the president and his team directly. She actually runs a consulting firm where it literally says on her website, I can open every door in Washington.
Wow. Yeah.
And when you think about, like, we talk about corruption a lot on the show, and just take out of this, like, what the political persuasion that these are right-wing people that we're talking about, we know that even the appearance of corruption is a real issue. So you've had cases before the Supreme Court that her husband has never recused himself from, that she is involved with organizations that are filing amicus briefs involved in the cases. You even have an instance where she is actually getting paid by one of the people who is involved in the case. So you have like a direct financial relationship with people who have a vested stake and interest in the outcome of these cases. And as you said, there is no actual code of ethics. You just have to rely on these individuals who are appointed for life, and the only recourse is impeachment, which is obviously an extraordinary and extreme measure. You have to rely on them to be good faith stewards here. And I think it's worth pointing out that other justices have handled these types of direct conflicts of interest very differently. And I'll give you two examples on sort of different sides of the partisan divide. Justice Stephen Breyer, his brother, is a judge, a federal judge in the Northern District of California. And anytime a case comes before them that has even gone through his brother's court, he recuses himself because he doesn't even want the appearance of conflict. In 2021, Justice Brett Kavanaugh, this is all from Jane Mayer, he recused himself from a case that apparently related to a family member. It looks like there was a nonprofit advocating, an amicus brief had been filed. So he's not even like directly involved in the case, but an amicus brief had been filed by a cosmetics trade association that Kavanaugh's father used to run. Okay, so it's very tangential. It's an amicus brief filed by a cosmetics trade association. His dad's not even involved in it anymore. But again, because he doesn't want the appearance of conflict, he recuses himself. So all of this is to say that the fact that Justice Thomas on any of these issues has never recused himself once is an outlier in terms of behavior. And when you see the way that she is like using her name and her proximity for profit and access and to lobby people in power, it really is truly disturbing, and it's gross.
And from what I've heard about Thomas, he's one of those people, he hates the left. He will never give in because of the whole Anita Hill thing. A true culture warrior, kind of you can see here reflected in his choice of partner. My personal favorite thing, Krystal, is that she texted him a YouTube video about, this is the title, and I'm not joking here. Trump sting with CIA Director Steve Pizanik. The biggest election story in our history, QFS blockchain.
Oh my
Various
God.
levels of capitalization. So this is very on par with your boomer uncle's email forwards and believing every single thing that somebody says. In a way, look, she clearly believes what she's saying. I think it's more of an indictment of conservative media for feeding vulnerable people this type of stuff. But on the broader message, it is one of these people need to have some sort of ethics codes that we could enact in order to have better confidence. It should not be up to the discretion of various different justices to recuse themselves or not based upon their personality. And I personally think it's an outrageous conduct for somebody like this. And we call out corruption wherever we see it, even though it is quite annoying to know that all this is also being covered by MSNBC. But it is what it is because that's what the news business should be.
Yes, indeed. And I hope you guys have experience with us that we are consistent when it comes to corruption. And we were just as happy to talk about Nancy Pelosi as we are to talk about Justice Thomas.
Hey guys, we're going to be totally upfront with you. This is the most perilous time that we have ever operated in.
It is so difficult just to try to sort through the news, but even more importantly, to bring you accurate information as this wave of lockdown and censorship spreads across the nation.
Yeah, look, if you can become a premium subscriber today at breakingpoints.com, you're going to help us build out a vibrant, independent media ecosystem, which is free of mainstream pressure. We can't tell you how important that is at a time like this.
Yep, that's right. Go to breakingpoints.com to subscribe. We love you guys and we appreciate you so much.